What's up guys? Today we're going to be doing a review of the Nike Vaporfly Next Percent 2. So quick breakdown of the review. First I will talk about the upper, then I'll talk about the midsole and outsole, and then I'll go on to durability and price, and then I'll finish it off with my overall impressions and conclusions. Really quick introduction to me as the reviewer of this shoe. I am a 317 marathoner, 132 half marathoner, and I usually run between 60 to 80 miles per week. So for this week, reviewing this shoe, I ran about 70 miles, and we got in a really awesome interval session. We got in a awesome tempo run, 6:47 a mile. We got in a couple of easy paced runs, 9, 10. I think I did like an 11-minute mile in it. And we also did just today a 22-mile long run. So I tried to really put this shoe through the paces for you guys. I think I ran it everywhere from 6-minute mile pace all the way up to an 11-minute mile pace to just really see how it performed in all of those different speeds. Okay, so talking about the upper first, as this is where all of the updates compared to the Vaporfly 1 are. So firstly, we have this engineered mesh material. They have gotten rid of the vapor weave. So let's talk about this mesh. I think it's definitely a nice form-fitting material. The other thing I really like about it is that it is a lot softer. This mesh is really soft, and actually a lot of people were comparing this shoe to the Alphafly, like is this shoe just a mashup of the Alphafly and the Vaporfly? And I would definitely say no. The Atom knit material, personally, I found to be just a little bit like scratchy and just not quite as form-fitting as I wanted it to be. This engineered mesh is a lot better. It's softer, it's not scratchy, and it does really conform to the foot a lot better. So I think lots of people are gonna be happy with this update compared to the Vapor Weave. Now the Vapor Weave was kind of plasticky. A lot of people complained about it like scrunching up in the toe box and things like that. So I think those issues are mostly gonna be solved with this new upper material. Nextly, we have the ridged laces that are the same as what was on the Alphafly. I absolutely love these laces. They're fantastic for getting a really good lockdown and making sure your laces don't budge. These things are not going to come untied in the middle of a race and make you have to stop and retie your shoes, which is just a nightmare of mine. I've never ever experienced these laces coming undone, which is awesome. I also thought it was really interesting in Seth James D'Amour's video about the Vaporfly Next Percent 2, he actually went in and swapped out these laces for the original laces of the Vaporfly 1, which I just thought was so interesting since I did the exact opposite. I went and stole a pair of Alphafly laces to put them on my Vaporfly Next Percent 1. So I just thought that was funny that different people have different preferences, but I think most people are probably going to be really happy with that lace update. Nextly, we have this little reinforcing at the toe box, which I think is just going to add some nice durability to this shoe, first of all, because I had seen some people who have like separation happening between the upper and the midsole, and I think that's definitely going to reduce that problem. The other thing that it does, which people are gonna love, and I loved, is adding a little bit of like volume to this toe box compared to the Vaporfly 1. I saw a lot of people, and I kind of felt this too, saying that the Vaporfly 1 was just really shallow in the toe box, like your toes would lift up and be touching the top of the upper, which is just really uncomfortable and can even lead to like bruising on your toenails and things like that. So I think this is definitely gonna help alleviate that problem, and I could definitely feel it too when I was landing. If my toes would extend a little bit, they weren't hitting the top of this at all, which they were a little bit before. So I think that's a really nice improvement. And then lastly, which I didn't really care for at all, is this thing. They added just like a little piece of material at the heel here, which I really don't know what the purpose of it is, other than I guess it just adds some weight pointlessly because it doesn't touch your skin at all, or at least it didn't touch my heel at all. So it doesn't rub, it doesn't do anything bad. I just didn't really understand what the point of it was. If anyone knows what the point of that is, comment it down below and let me know, because I just really didn't get it. Anyway, so overall, definitely a great improvement to this upper, and I think lots of people are going to be really happy with it. also really quickly talk about the fit of this shoe in general, since that's largely related to the upper. One thing that I definitely noticed on my first lace up of this shoe is that the fit of the upper is ever so slightly wider compared to the Vaporfly 1. And I could tell that because I was lacing them up a little bit tighter than I usually go, and that is just because, I think partially because of the added volume in the toe box, but I think also just there's a little bit more upper material which can accommodate a slightly wider foot. So if you have a slightly wider foot and you liked the Vaporfly but just felt that it was too narrow, I think this is going to be a really good upgrade for you. The other thing I'll mention about the fit, for sure, true to size for me, it's the exact same size as I was wearing in the Vaporfly 1. As far as the length goes, this is completely identical to the Vaporfly 1, no difference whatsoever. The only difference is that little bit of widening, mostly in the toe box area. Oh, and one last thing to mention about this upper is it did cause, ever so slightly, I know people were really curious about this, a little bit of weight gain. Everyone was asking questions about this that I saw. Is it going to gain weight? Is it going to lose weight? Is it going to stay the same? It did gain 2 grams. I weighed both this shoe when it was brand new and a brand new pair of the Vaporfly 1s. This shoe came in at 164 grams and the Vaporfly 1s came in at 162 grams. And that is in my size, which is a US men's 6.5 or a women's 8. So 2 grams, I don't think anyone without a scale could really tell the difference in weight between those two shoes. So not a huge weight increase at all. I was really happy to see that. All right, now let's go on to the midsole. Of course, full length ZoomX midsole with that carbon fiber plate sandwiched in between. This is the exact same midsole that is on the Vaporfly 1. I saw some people saying Nike had increased the foam, but I think that must have been referring to the increase in foam compared to like the 4%, because this is 100% identical to the Vaporfly. 40 millimeters in the heel, 32 millimeters in the forefoot. I do really like that 8 millimeter drop, so honestly, I'm kind of glad that they just kept it the same. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I think Nike really took that saying to heart with this shoe. People really loved this midsole. It was awesome. And for me especially, I like the 8 millimeter drop. It's great for getting a nice forefoot, midfoot kind of foot strike, which I like to have, especially at those faster paced miles. So really nice, bouncy, springy. Another thing I really like about the ZoomX foam is that the foam itself is very soft, which gives your foot really nice protection when you're putting in a lot of volume and a lot of miles and a lot of faster miles, but it's not mushy or squishy feeling because of that carbon fiber plate. Because of the carbon fiber plate, it goes from being mushy and squishy to being really bouncy, springy, kind of responsive feeling, which I really, really enjoy in this shoe. It's one of my favorite shoes for all my faster paced miles because of that carbon fiber plate springiness. Okay, going on to the outsole. Again, this is exactly the same as what was on the Vaporfly 1, but I'll just talk about it anyway for anyone out there who has not worn the Vaporfly 1. We do have that rubber up here in the forefoot, that nice waffle pattern, and then we've got 2 little pieces of rubber down here in the heel. I do think that this outsole works pretty well for almost all conditions. Obviously, it doesn't perform that well on like snow, ice, things like that. But for wet conditions, it does work really well for me. I did a nice tempo run down to, 6:47 minutes per mile, and I never felt like, even on those wet surfaces, like I was having to slow down or I couldn't go as fast as I wanted to because I was worried about slipping. Really stable, really grippy. I felt really secure in this shoe on those wet surfaces, which I was really happy about. I have also run on this shoe in some snowy conditions and it didn't do too bad. I mean, it's obviously not a trail shoe, but sometimes I would just have like a little patch of snow I would have to run over, and I didn't like slip and fall every single time I did that. Like, it was fine. So I would definitely say this is pretty grippy, especially as far as racing shoes go. There are obviously grippier shoes out there, but for a marathon racer, this is pretty good. So I was happy with that, and I definitely feel like it's gonna give you some good durability as well. If you run 100 miles on this, it's not gonna completely disintegrate and you're gonna lose all your grip. You're still gonna have a really good grip with this outsole because it's pretty durable. It's not gonna wear down quickly at all. All right, now let's go on to talking about durability and price. I think as far as durability goes, you're gonna get the same mileage out of this shoe that you got out of the Vaporfly 1, which for me is, I like to race on these shoes about to around 100 or sometimes even 150 miles. I think that's just where you're getting the maximum benefit out of that ZoomX foam and out of that carbon fiber plate. Those are the two things that I think for most people are gonna fail first and make them want to get a new pair. I haven't seen that many people really experience the upper failing first, but I'm sure it could happen, but probably a little bit less likely with this shoe now that they've added some reinforcing and things on there. Now that being said, I do think you can still use this shoe perfectly well after that 150 mile marker, whatever you want to race on it. Totally convert it into a training shoe after that for tempo runs, interval runs, what have you, and it's gonna perform just fine. It's not gonna be as bouncy and springy as it was before, but it's still got really great cushioning on it. It's still got that carbon fiber plate that's gonna be helping you out, and I think it's still gonna do a pretty good job at those faster paced runs, which I think is a good idea to use it for that. If you're paying $250, $225 for a pair of shoes, why not use it until it's actually dead on your feet? And price, yay! I'm so glad to see $225 for the Nike Vaporfly Next Percent 2 as opposed to the $250 for the Vaporfly 1. I definitely can tell that Nike felt a little bit of a crunch from all of the other carbon fiber marathon racing shoes that came out in 2020. So I'm glad they responded to that by dropping their price just a little bit. It's much more competitive in terms of pricing with the other carbon fiber plated racing shoes that are on the market these days. And I'm really glad to see that because honestly, they probably could have just left it at $250 and people would have still paid it, especially with all of these updates that I think are really positive things. People definitely would have paid it, so I'm glad to see them dropping the price anyway because it just makes this shoe such a great value. You get this awesome shoe and it's just not quite as expensive. Obviously, $225 is still a hefty price to pay, but it definitely could have been more, so I'm glad to see them giving us a better value. Thank you, Nike. Okay, and my overall impressions and conclusions. I think that this shoe is a great option for people who want a max cushioned marathon racing shoe that is really, really lightweight. Especially with these updates, I think that this shoe is gonna accommodate a wider range of people. If you are a person who has a slightly wider foot and you liked the Vaporfly 1, except for that it was a little too narrow for you, I definitely recommend trying a pair of the Next Percent 2s because they've added that extra volume in the toe box. It's a little bit wider in the upper just in general. I think it's gonna be a much better option for those people. So I would definitely recommend picking up a pair. I think it's still gonna accommodate our narrow-footed people like me. I just tightened up the laces a little bit more and it was fine. So I think this shoe is gonna be a great option for people this summer for all of the marathons that are finally coming back. And I would definitely recommend it. Also, I know it's released right now in the UK. It released on March 25th. But I, as of filming this, have not been able to find any US release date. And I would really like to know that information. So if anyone can find a release date for the US, please comment it down below and let me know because I absolutely need a pair in that aqua colorway. I think it's just so pretty. So please let me know if you find out that information, and I will also be Googling until I find that answer myself. Alright, well I hope you guys enjoyed that review of the Vaporfly Next Percent 2. If you did, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you would like to see more shoe reviews and running related content from me. I post videos every weekend. And also, this is my first time ever reviewing a shoe, so if there's something that I missed or didn't touch on, please let me know down in the comments if you have a question for me. I will be happy to answer any questions that you guys have. All right, until next time, bye.